Hi guys, Donald Ephraim again. I've been trying to get back to you in regards to people leaving the church, and there's a number of people on Facebook claiming to be ex-pastors um, and coming into the knowledge of the truth, right? And then claiming that all the stories and all the characters in particular in the Bible are not real characters. And so let me address those two pieces, the ex-pastors and these characters. Okay, so first of all, I wasn't going to say anything about the ex-pastors, because I don't want to get into judging and criticizing. But when the second one showed up saying virtually the same thing, okay, I got a little suspicious. Okay, now I know African Americans are trying to get other African Americans to quote unquote wake up, become conscious. Got it. I agree. You need to wake up and become conscious of what's going on around you, and what's going on in the world and your situation. All right. So I get that. Um, but I think that the ex-pastor leaving the church for the lack of a better word, Egyptianology. That's what I'm gonna call it. Spiritualism, African spiritualism, or Black folk spiritualism. I'm not quite sure yet, and I'm not knocking it. I'm not trying to make fun of it. I just don't know what they're saying. I see them on Facebook. I see what they're saying, and I have friends. Now, let me qualify something real quick. I have friends all across walks of life, all persuasions. I have friends and family. Okay, color, all right, race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, all that. Okay, um, you know, your life is your life. You got to decide how you're gonna live your life, because you're the only one that's gonna be laying up in that box at the end, and you don't only want to have to deal with the consequences of the decisions and choices that we make. The only one. I am the only one got to deal with the decisions and consequences I make. No one else. Standing before the Creator, and I believe there's a Creator. Okay? Do I believe there's going to be a judgment? I believe there's going to be a judgment. And guess what? If there isn't, I'm ready. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. So I'm not trying to, judge these guys. But when I saw the second one show up, talking about he's an ex-pastor and y'all know me, and if you love me, and that's when he started saying that thing, if you loved me when I was a pastor, when you loved me when I went out into the street, when you loved me, it's like, wait a minute, that's what that other brother said, right? Pretty much. And it was like, I wonder if this is a ploy, a little tactic, right? Give some credibility to them, quote unquote, finding the truth and leaving the church. Now, religion, I agree with 100%. Leave it, dump it, drop it. I was born into religion, Christian, Kojic, Church of God in Christ. Don't get no stricter than that, right? So I was born and raised in that. I know all the doctrines, I know all the traditions. And so when I say stuff to sound crazy, I know exactly what I'm saying and why I'm saying it, right? I'm not somebody off the street with some other perspective. I know exactly what Christianity is about. I know exactly what the doctrines and traditions are about. I know them because I was raised that way. So when I'm saying something different than what you were taught about Christianity, right? I know I'm saying something different. I got that. Okay. And I'm saying it different on purpose because it's a difference between what you've been taught and, of course, what you're actually reading in the Bible. Now, so get back to these pastors. I think the tactic is to create some credibility. So if they can become aware and awake and leave, then maybe the rest of y'all should too. Religion, yes, I agree with. You got to take a real good look at that stuff. Okay. Church, maybe not so much, because you need some place you can go and congregate and learn some stuff. You can't just be roaming around on your own out there, and jumping from pillar to post, because that's what I see right now. We were convinced to believe in this religious body of knowledge, and then somebody showed up and said, hey, take a look at this. This is what you ought to be doing, and people are flocking to that too, without having any proof. Now, I can't prove nothing, and I'll be honest with you about it. I can't prove nothing. I can't, and you can't either. You can't prove nothing, right? And so I'm not trying to invalidate our ancestors, Africanism, spirituality, African spirituality. I try not to denounce any of that, right? Wasn't raised there. You weren't either. I can't read Hebrew. I can't read Aramaic. I can't read Greek, Latin. Definitely cannot read hieroglyphics, okay? Can't read none of that stuff. And guess what? You can't either, all right? So, all we got to go off of is translations. Got it. I'm not trying to convince you that the Bible is real. No, I'm trying to convince you to read it so you actually know what's in it, so you can make a quality decision, okay? Now, do I believe what's in the Bible is real? Yes, all right? Now, those characters, Jesus. Let's talk about Jesus, right? We all know that's not his name, okay? We know it's been translated, right? So, we know Peter. There ain't no Jewish Peters, right? No Hebrew Peter. We know there's no Hebrew John. We know all that. We know that the letter J, right, didn't pop up until about, what, 600, 700 years ago? Okay, we got that. And I hope you got that. You understand that. Because you do need that knowledge. Now, but the characters, right, just because we can't find their graves, right? Do you remember when the guy named Peter was hanging out with Jesus, the guy named Jesus, right? I call him Yeshua, the Messiah, a.k.a. Jesus the Christ. Right? And the Mount of Figuration, or Transfiguration. Hey, you don't say this, Don, say it right. So, and he saw Yeshua, he saw Moshe, right? And he saw Isaac, right? No, it's not Isaac, that's Isaac. Elijah, right? The prophet Elijah. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, his Jewish or Hebrew name. Anyway, and then he wanted to create some monuments for him and whatnot. And Jesus said, no, we can't be doing stuff like that, right? So they weren't really into marking their graves and making a big show of themselves and so on and so forth. Now, I can't tell you where the graves are, but I'm not looking for the graves. I wasn't looking for the graves of any of our Egyptian pharaohs either, right? And so, but just check this out. Check this out. They're talking about the Book of the Dead, right? And it's in the Bible is a plagiarized copy of the Book of the Dead, or parts of it at least, Proverbs in particular, right? And so my statement or thought is this: well, if it's a copy, wouldn't that make it valid? You know, it's a copy of the manuscript, the original manuscript. Wouldn't that make it valid? And so that's one of my thoughts. Now, here's another thought. There's a biblical account of this Hebrew named Joseph, right? Now, he was a young man, and he was, of course, sold into slavery by his brothers because they were jealous of him. Y'all know the story, right? He was one of the younger sons of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, right? So he's sold into slavery. He becomes one of the house slaves, right? A guy named Potiphar. And then, of course, when Potiphar's wife decided to make a move on him and he wouldn't comply, she lied and said he tried to rape her, and so they threw him in prison. So he's in prison for quite some time, about 13 years, right? So at the age of 30, he interprets some dreams for Pharaoh. So Pharaoh pulls him out. So he interprets his dream about the famines. that's about to come, 7 years of famine. So Pharaoh put him in charge of all of Egypt. Now that's the story in the Bible. And so Pharaoh said, whatever he say, this guy named Joseph, right, the Hebrew, whatever he say is law. Now, he ruled all of Egypt, all of it, for about 80 years, right? He made laws, statutes, commandments, ordinances for 80 years. Now, do you think there might be some Hebrew influence about Egypt? Maybe, just maybe, I'm not saying that it is, maybe that's where he gets some of that Book of the Dead stuff. Maybe he had some influence with that. Just maybe. Just saying, it's a possibility. Now, I'm not trying to reject knowledge from anywhere. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to check it out. See if I can make some sense about it. Right. Why am I such an advocate about the Bible? Because I've actually read it. I've actually read it, and I know for a fact that it has nothing to do with a religion, and the religious aspects that we've been running around here trying to follow has not worked. We all know that. And I gave that stuff up a long time ago. Now, I still go to church. I still try and lay out a few pieces of knowledge every now and then when I can get a piece in edgewise. It's rough. Christians are rough, I'm going to tell you. we some tough folk, right? We're indoctrinated, solid, right? And it's really hard to change the perspective of Christians, especially those that have been in the church for a long time, and we just know this is the way. We just know it's the way, right? So now the benefit, that I have, of course, is that I don't do anything from books outside of the Bible. I'm not talking to you about anything outside of the Bible. I just explain it from a different perspective. That's all. That's all I do. Share it from a different perspective. It's about a king, a kingdom, that's government. You got laws, man. You got to follow them laws. And if you follow them laws, right, you get somewhere. Now, that in itself is a whole another talk about following them laws, because it's like, which laws do we keep and which laws do we throw away and don't keep? That's interesting. So, and save that for another time. But as far as black folks leaving a church, right, I would persuade you to take a real good look at the religion, but you got to have something to go to. Before you jump off into, what we call in spirituality, and you don't know much about that either, right? Before you jump off into that, have a real good understanding of what you're leaving. And when I say a real good understanding of what you're leaving, that is, you need to actually read the book so you know what's in the book, so you can make a valued decision. Okay? All right. This is Donald Lee from Kingdomology. Out.